So I've been on online business for about 8 years now. I started back in 2017. Started with drop shipping. Basically tried everything, shiny object syndrome makes you try everything. But at some point, I've had success, even minor success with about all of them. It really just took one mindset change and one realization to really basically make everything work, or anything I tried work. I don't want to say I'm lucky, because I've probably went through all the same things you as a watcher went through or still going through, you know, break even months or even negative months for like, almost a whole year. I've had my first like profitable month after like 9 months. And when I mean profitable, I mean like it was over the $0 mark. Didn't really start pushing it to like, later that year. But honestly, once you cross that profit mark, like once you cross like 2K, there's like milestones. It's like 2K, then 5K. Once you cross like 15K, it's kind of upside from there. Depending on the business model, some business models cap at like 20, 30, like SMMA, for example, unless you're like one of the top guys. But usually, once you cross around 10, 15K, then it's basically upside. I've had months straight of like zero profit. I've tried everything. I've was working all day, even found some free time to do other things. That's kind of how I justified it. Like, oh, there's only so much, I only have money to test so much dropshipping products. Let me also try like organic affiliate or like some SMMA, post some clients on the side. So I tried it all. And this was back when I was like 19, 20 years old. I had a bunch of energy and I was basically doing everything. I mean, I still have energy, I'm still pretty young. But it's pretty normal. And honestly, you'll always go through that stage of like not making anything work. I've met people who are trying to go at it for a few years, their entrepreneurship journey, and never like cracked it. But it is something that you can actually like crack. Like there's a kind of a eureka moment. Once you like hit it, then everything becomes, I wouldn't say easy, but it becomes clear. You kind of like cut out the fluff, like you exactly know what you have to do. And you actually start to get some data, like actually start getting some minor success that gives you data to like refine and skill further. Once you really start to understand who you're targeting, who you're selling to, if you're doing anything other than trading online, you're selling something, whether it's with sales or like running to a landing page. It's kind of all the same, really. And just really dialing down, like understanding you're selling to someone. How do I pinpoint what this person needs? Like, how do I craft my message to get this person to convert, to take their card out, or to book the call, and then once they're on the call, to take their card out and actually purchase, whether it's like a $30 product or a $3,000 product, even a $30,000 product, really. It doesn't matter. I've actually sold all of them. I mean, I've tried all the business models. The one that worked for me the best was drop shipping. Another one that worked well for me was affiliate marketing. To be honest, that actually helped me with drop shipping more, because the way I do drop shipping is funnel drop shipping, which is hyper targeted direct response landing pages on drop shipping, kind of similar to affiliate marketing style landing pages, but it's, you're actually doing the fulfillment. You're not just promoting someone else's offer. Like I said, to get to that point of understanding what it is I actually have to do, or at least what it is that works for me, because not everything's gonna work for everyone. And I could talk shit about like trading, for example, all day, but I know people that are making crazy amounts of money with that. And everyone's different. Me specifically, when it comes to selling anything online, anything that makes someone take out their card, put it through type it in on a website or give it to someone on a call. I could get someone from cold, random Facebook swiper to card within 30 minutes. I've developed that skill. Or, if they're retargeted, whatever. But basically, I have the skill of making someone take out their card within 30 minutes of clicking on an ad that they saw when they were doom scrolling. And this isn't a new business model. Ads have always been a thing, right? Like it's just a new way of doing it online on Facebook. And what really makes the online thing different is the data that you actually get, like pixels and stuff. Like you're actually able to see what people are clicking. Facebook uses like hundreds of different companies. It's like a crazy list. It's like 300 different companies that all collect different data points so they could hyper target and hyper categorize people to certain buckets that make them easy for us marketers to target. Once you understand that, that's kind of like the framework you're working with. Even if you're not doing ads, you're doing organic, which is kind of the same. You post an organic video, there's certain keywords, or you say something that Facebook picks up or whatever platform, because they all use similar tech, and it finds a relevant audience. And if it does well, if it gets some initial traction, getting likes, engagement, so on, it would post it to more. It gets more on people's news feeds, more on their explore page, and so on. And it goes viral. Ads is basically the same as organic, but also has like the bidding system that all advertisers are under competing for. Until I had that mindset change of what it is I'm actually doing, like fundamentally, what the whole online thing is, only then, like, did I actually crack anything at all. Only that led me to the actual, like, main realization. If I want to sell something online, I have to use the tech that I have available, hyper-segmented audiences. So once you realize that, it's like, okay, I could hyper-target specific demographics of people. Now I know that if I need to target, for example, people who like emo rock bands from the 2000s, or like they like a certain band, then I know I can target those people directly. I don't have to put some billboard, like do some like tons of research on which city in America has the most emo rock fans. I could just like hyper target them on any ad platform, or just post organic content and they'll find it. It'll show up on the newsfeed. And that's like the main realization, because once you realize that, you could basically tackle anything. Now you have a clear path of what you have to do, who you have to target. That's always the first step, your audience. You know how to target them. You know how deep you could get into this segment. Now it's like, okay, what do I sell to them? And, if you need some help there, the mindset you have there is like, okay, well, at some point, I'm going to tap out this audience, because there's almost only so much emo rock fans. And, you want a business that makes a lot of money, obviously, and something that is sustainable as well. So you need a big audience. So now you find a way to sell a product, or you find a product that sells to this audience, that's like solves a problem for that specific audience, but also scales beyond that audience. So you use this initial audience as like a entry point. You blitzkrieg in, and then you expand outwards once you're in, once you tap into that original audience. And there's a concept of like the first 1,000 true fans, if you've heard of it before, which is basically your first 1,000 fans will carry your personal brand or your brand or whatever for ages. Like those are your core fans, like your base. Once you have 1,000 fans, then the rest is easy. And it's kind of true, not just for building a personal brand or a brand organically, but even for getting customers. Once you tap in to a certain market, specifically with a product that can sell to everyone theoretically, you can just start from there, and you slowly scale out, slowly make the thing more general and general. This is why you would see like certain brands or certain artists, they'll blow up. Usually they start with one specific type of music if it's an artist, or one specific type of product. Or if it's gym clothing, they would like Gymshark, they started with like Zizbra content and they caught this trend perfectly, and it was like a very specific type of people online. But now everyone wears Gymshark. They're a billion-dollar brand, a multi-billion-dollar brand, because they started with this hyper-specific niche, but they sold this hyper-specific niche, hyper-specific audience, a product that could theoretically scale to everyone. to everyone who goes to the gym, which is millions of people. The gym clothing they sold to that original audience can sell to everyone. You think about any big business, it's always the same story. Facebook, they started with college kids, but specifically Ivy League college kids. And then they had like the married and relationship feature, which tells you if someone's like hooking up with someone or in a relationship, if they're off limits or not. And at first it was just an Ivy League thing. And it was like an exclusive thing that all the like smart, Ivy League kids or college kids are using. Then they went to other colleges. Then they went beyond colleges. Then US in total, and then the whole world. They found a hyper audience that needed that product the most, or at least that was most interested in that product or service. But then they scaled outwards because the product was a general thing, but they started with a specific audience. And once you realize that, that's basically it. That's like kind of the secret sauce. Once you could realize that, you could easily reach $1 million months. I know that sounds cliche or it sounds like unrealistic and whatever, but that's basically the secret. I mean, granted, easier said than done, obviously. But that's basically what we're doing here. We're finding products or services. If you watch me, my content, you're probably doing drop shipping. Find a product that's going to sell to everyone. A super broad product. If it's beauty, then like think of something like makeup. A lot of people buy makeup. Only certain people buy like neon colors makeup. And then once you target that, let's say, go back to emo kids. Emo kids buy like neon makeup. Start with that market. Then you could go to like influencers that are more like mainstream. Basically, you start with like the hyper specific. If this is the brand you're selling, you would start with the hyper specific influencers or hyper specific content or ads that targets like the underground community. Then you go more mainstream within that same community. And then at some point, mainstream crosses into the general audience, the general like girl population. There's at some point where there's a crossover. If you could successfully first target that initial audience, scale outwards, then you could basically scale infinitely. I'm sure you've seen this with artists before, like music artists. Only some stay in the underground because their music is like, while it might be good, they can't really scale outwards. The ones who do have music, let's say like hip hop, all they have to do is like slightly make it more mainstream, slightly make it more pop, and both their initial underground audience will like it, their first true 1,000 fans, but then it expands outwards to the mainstream as well. And then you have huge artists like Drake that's like, started hyper-specific R&B, rap. He was doing, he was singing like no one else was before in rap. He was made fun of for it. Now he's like the biggest artist of all time, one of them. That's it. That's basically the secret. Easier said than done. If you need help, you could always contact me. Check out my description. I have a link. You can book a call. If it's also a mindset thing that's holding you back, like, yeah, people are making crazy amounts of money. Hotels in Dubai are being booked out. Like, it's, people are buying yachts. And these are the principles they use. This is generally what your goal is. Again, to recap, hyper target with a general product that can scale, that has huge potential market. But first, find an audience that no one else is targeting. And if it's a saturated, which don't be afraid of saturated markets, by the way, or saturated products, because really there's always a way to tap in. You just really have to be creative. Find an angle that no one else is targeting. So if you're selling, let's say there's some like makeup product and you see like 5 different brands that are like scaling this new trend of like makeup. There's one brand that's targeting like emo girls, another one targeting like, LA influencer girls. But look, you found a market that no one else is targeting. Penetrate that way. That's how you penetrate into a saturated market. Ideally, you're selling in niches that are quite saturated. The reason, because it's huge, it's saturated for a reason. It doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's a huge market, which means there's a lot of money, which means there's a lot of people there. A lot of competitors because there's a lot of money. So how do you penetrate? Where's the small little gap that you could squeeze in, you could blitzkrieg in, and then expand outwards? Find an offer, you have to have some sauce, whether it's like content better than anyone or even better offer. how now just like the pricing and the upsells. Why exactly are they buying now? Like, yeah, they have the solution. They know that they know their problem. They found the solution, but why should they buy it right now? And then that's the offer. And once you can nail down those three things, calling out the problem, framing down a good solution, building a good offer, you have a high conversion rate. Then it's just, building the back end, the upsells, the post-purchase to increase the AOV and LTV. And from there, you build the brand once you have the first true 1,000 fans. And you eventually have a business that's sustainable, or, something that scales very quick, but you get a good exit off of, and then you go on to the next thing, like clockwork. Like, you build this one, caught a trend. Now you could actually build a brand in a niche that you actually care about. And it's really that simple. You could just pop them out. You could just build more cash flow businesses, more drop shipping stores that are like skilled funnel stores. Go brand, whatever's up to you. But really, it's about understanding that we're basically all doing the same thing. Stick to that. That's a playbook. I gave it to you. Take that, run with it. Find an audience, big market, tap into it, blitzkrieg. That's all there is to it. Easier said than done, but it's simple, not easy. So the steps, grind at those steps and nothing else. You don't need much more content. But if you actually need help, let's say you had some success, or you're just starting out, don't really know where to go from there, or you kind of know this, but it's like, I don't actually know how to go to the next step, or you need help with something very specific, and book a call, and yeah, I'll see what I can do for you.